Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be talking about what we are seeing now as educators that talk about the strategies and practices that are being put out there for us to use in our special education department, especially to help those students with ASD or under the autism spectrum umbrella. So first, we're going to start by comparing what are these two types of or these two categories of practices and strategies, right? So first we're going to start with evidence-based practice, and that's what we commonly see in the special education department, which are practices that have shown positive effect on students results, right? There's a lot of research behind them, and those are practices that have been there's multiple uh, data on that we can look up, and they have proof that they work. Usually it's by an organization that's being put out there. We can find that through many resources and articles that show that these practices have worked. The other type of practices or category is high leverage practices. And from these practices, this one focus on 22 practices that are intended or they are the most critical that every special education teacher should know or master and be able to implement. So these practices are frequently used in the classroom, but they also have shown a lot of improvement in students' results. And they are 22 of them. So just to mention a few of examples, if we had to mention examples of evidence-based practices, we can think about functional behavior assessments. That's very common for students with ASD. They can be used. This type of assessment can gives us a lot of information about behaviors, what triggers the behavior, any concerns on safety, and how it's affecting the students or the child's development. Right. This here we learn about the functional behavior of a student, and it gives us different scenarios. Another evidence-based practice that I've seen frequently, especially with students with ASD or in the special education setting, it's prompting. It's very it's used throughout special education because our students tend to need that help of prompting them so they can master those skills or they can adapt or learn new behaviors. Um, and just to mention one more, I think that with prompting, it's tagged with modeling. How do we model those behaviors for our students, or what kind of scenarios do we put out there so that they know how or what the expectation is? Now, when we talk about high leverage practices, we focus on certain categories, right? High leverage practices, um, they they focus on collaboration, assessments, the social, emotional, and behavior support and instruction. So it's divided into this four categories, but they're very specific. So, for example, on if we were to mention two examples, as they built a system, like a systematically designed instruction, and they work towards a specific goal. So the goals are in short term, but we build a system. It's intended to build a system to reach that goal. Scaffolding instruction is another example of a high leverage practice, using strategies to promote or student engagement, and that it's breaking into different categories. So if I was to consider if one is better applied than the other one, um, I will say that high leverage practices is It's a system that it's best explained, and it includes a lot of evidence-based practices. I think that they do go hand in hand, and you tag team between both categories in order to reach students. But high leverage practices um, are more intentional. They're more strategically implemented. There are systems behind them. They help students reach their goals, and it's very detailed and specific on what the goal is. It also sets high standards and high expectations for our students, and it helps them grow, and we can monitor progress when using high leverage practices. It does a lot of analyzing the instructional practices that we're using, and it helps us as educators rethink of what are the strategies that we're using in the classroom that can maybe be changed, and how are we delivering our instruction? What are the changes that we can do in order to help students reach those goals, not only academically, but also their skills and their behavior. So those are two of the categories that I think are impacting our special needs population. And as educators, it will be uh, a good idea to reflect on. Thank you.